Welcome back to Techstrong Unplugged. My name is Cassandra Chin, and today we have Sterling Chin.
Not related.
Yeah, my last name's also Chin. So, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name is Sterling, and I work for Postman. I'm a senior developer advocate, but in my career, I've been a developer. I've been a junior engineer all the way up to senior tech lead, moved into engineering management, and I love everything career, talking about anything around our careers.
So, you said you have like a passion for mentorships.
I do. Mentorship to me is something that I learned early on in my career. I had a great teacher, a great mentor of mine. And if he ever sees this, his name is Andrew. Shout out to him. Uh, he taught me early on that not only talking about how important it is to find a mentorship, to find a mentor, but also to mentor others. And because of that, at every subsequent company that I've worked for, I have started mentorship programs, both official and unofficial mentorship programs that bring engineers up through the ranks. There's not enough that happens. And so I can take any kind of avenue that you want with it. We can talk about, making any official things, what we talk about in mentorship programs. But, for me, the only way to get into as you move into your career is to get mentored. No one else is going to mentor you. No one's going to come to you as a junior engineer and say, "Hey, can I mentor you?" That doesn't happen. So you have to take your career by the horns and say, "I'm going to go find someone to I'm going to go find someone to mentor me."
What is like a mentorship actually like? What do you learn and
It's kind of everything. So the way I like to structure my mentorships is I have a hard fast rule that they're not someone on my team. Now that sounds a little counterproductive, but if I'm mentoring someone, I don't want them on my team. And that is for a couple reasons. One, I'm assuming that I'm already mentoring people on my team, or if I'm a junior, I'm already getting mentored by the rest of my team, right? I've got senior engineers who are going to be looking at my code. They're going to be working with me on a day-to-day basis. And so they're already going to know a lot about how I code, why I code, or so on and so forth. So that's my first hard fast rule. My second rule is that it is an open book. It is completely driven by the mentee. Um, so for me, if I'm being mentored, I'm going to be asking questions. I'm a safe place for mentees to come and ask any questions no matter what. And I think that's why I also have that hard fast rule that it's not on the same team. Because sometimes as a junior engineer, you feel a little awkward. You're like, that may be a stupid question, or maybe something that a senior engineer on your team has asked, or you've asked the senior engineer multiple times, and you feel embarrassed to ask that question again. For me as a mentor, having I can sit down and say, look, you can ask me any question you want. You can ask me what the quote unquote dumb questions, and know that I'm not going to judge you in any way, shape, or form. I'm here to teach you. I'm here to like help you get better to that next level. And so the second aspect of that is that there's always goals in mind. There's always an outcome goal. What are you trying to get better at? Are you a front-end engineer? Then my hope is, as a front-end engineer, I'm going to be teaching you, if I'm mentoring you, for instance, I'm going to be teaching you all the ins and outs of building React components, JavaScript, TypeScript, CSS, why you use one thing or another, what's the difference between a for loop and a while loop, when to use them, when to use if, switch case statements. So I see that as a teaching moment, and I take that very seriously. So that was the third part of it. The second one, or the fourth, I'm switching up my numbers here. I think I'm at 4 now. I would talk about is having a regular meeting every week or every other week, and having it for at least half an hour, 45 minutes. It gives you enough time to come in, ask questions, but then it also is not long enough that you're, I'm breaking into like momentum somewhere else. So oftentimes it's afternoons because most of your meetings are in the mornings. So that's, yeah, kind of the structure.
Do you learn from being a mentor yourself?
Oh, 100%. It's why, so the next avenue we were going to go, and I love that you asked me that, is the moment I find someone to mentor, my initial mentor, Andrew, within 2 months, and I was a junior engineer at the time, so I had no idea what the heck I was doing. He came in and said, "Okay, Sterling, I've mentored you for 2 months. Now you need to go and find a mentee." I asked him, like, "What the heck are you talking about? I'm in no way positioned to mentor someone else." And he said, "No, every time you teach somebody, every time you teach someone a new skill, you yourself are solidifying it and learning it yourself." So how we did it in my or how we mentored in that case is Andrew would teach me, and then I would teach the people I was mentoring. And so he would talk about regex. He'd go, "Okay, this week we're gonna focus on regex." If I had other questions, he would obviously, I could ask them at that point. But sometimes he'd come up with, say, "Hey, we're gonna focus on regex, or we're gonna focus on a skill that you haven't yet mastered." And then the goal at that point was, after he taught me about regex, my job was not to go teach my mentees about regex. And he goes, that act of teaching, it solidifies the skills and the knowledge in your head, because now I have to be ready to answer those questions that I was just even a week ago asking those same questions to him. So absolutely, mentoring is a learning experience for both.
And like, where can you find a mentorship or be a mentee?
So if you're at one of my companies that I've worked for, I built and integrated like full-on mentorship programs within the companies. If not, I would go and actually seek out mentorship. I would find someone that you respect. So if you're at a company and you're on a dev team, I would immediately go find someone within the company that you respect, and just ask them straight up, will you mentor me? I'm looking for a mentor, to someone to teach me, JavaScript, someone to get me to that next level. If you're brand new in the career and and you're looking for jobs, the next best place is to start going to meetups. Dev meetups, anywhere you go, there's always going to be teachers and students there. There are going to be people who are in their careers, who are trying to pay it forward and give back to the community. And there's going to be people who are there trying to learn from the community. So that's another great resource to find mentorship.
Can developers of all skill levels benefit from this?
100%. Every skill level. If you're a senior engineer, you should be finding a mentor who's someone who's a staff architect, however, whatever the next level is at your company. Or you could be being mentored by an engineering manager if you think you want to go into management. If so, every step of your career. Right now, I'm a senior developer advocate, and I have an active mentor, someone who's not at my company, someone that I've worked with in the past, and I said, and I respected. I've seen what they've done. I said, I'm still asking. I still have questions. I'm still learning. Will you teach me? And so I'm always on that note. I'm also always actively looking for people to mentor, because I think it's just such a skill that and so beneficial to everybody.
I think it's really good that like we're still learning.
Always. I mean, my parents were teachers, so I grew up in an educator's home, and my dad always told me, life is your classroom, or the world is your classroom. Life is your teacher. And so I take that into everything. Always be learning. There's always something. It doesn't matter who you are. Even if I'm if I'm a senior engineer, or when I was a senior engineer, for instance, I learned from my junior engineers on a regular basis. They had life experiences that I didn't have. And so they would approach problems in novel ways that I didn't look at. So it like I said, I'm always learning. There's always there's always something to learn from somebody else.
So you kind of combined your technology passions and like teaching.
Yes, absolutely.
Have you always been passionate about technology?
Yes. It, I wish I was a little bit more passionate earlier on in my career. So my career path was a little different coming into tech. I spent 15 years in construction and transportation logistics. So I was not doing tech. When I was a kid, I was always been big into video games. I take my computer apart. I would try to do soldering. I would do all these things. My dad had tried to get me into doing a CS degree when I was in college, and I said no. I wish I had. But a few years back, I decided to go back to school and become a software engineer. And at that point, I started to really, so I was able to combine my love of teaching into the passion that I now have, or a continued growth of passion into technology.
What do you do today as a job?
I'm a senior developer advocate, which means I get to come to conferences, talk. In this case, I get to speak at conferences, talk about my experiences, share on a larger scale, mentor from the podium.
So it's still related to mentoring?
Yes, I take every time I speak, whether it's on stage at a conference or whether it's within a demo at work, or whatever. I try to instill some type of mentorship in there. Sometimes I'm always a teacher. I'm always going to be a teacher. So it kind of fits in.
When you write your demos for work, like, is there some form of mentorship in that?
Yeah. So when I'm demoing, I also look at it. I worked on a product team that built an AI assistant inside of Postman, and at that point, I was also having to mentor sales, the customer service department, like the customer success teams, the rest of the field team. Talked to DevRel at the time. I was demoing these new products to the rest of the organization, and I had to be ready to answer all of their questions. So that was a really perfect like. So even those demos are a perfect opportunity to mentor and talk to others.
I think that's interesting how mentorships really extend everywhere.
Yeah, I find it I find mentorship again key to my success, key to anyone is who's coming into this industry, key to anyone doesn't even have to be in tech. Find someone who's better at you in some way and ask to have them mentor you. That's how you'll learn. There are, the way I look at it, there's no stupid questions. That's a very teacher mentor type of thing to say, but I don't find that there are any stupid questions out there. You just have to find someone who's willing to answer those questions for you.
That's really inspirational.
Thank you.
So thank you today, Sterling.
It was a pleasure. Thanks for having me.